Good morning, sixth grade. We're going to continue with chapter 11. This is the last lesson in chapter 11, which is Rome builds an empire. So let's go ahead and get started here.
Lesson 4. Rome builds an empire. It matters because the achievements of the Roman Empire influenced the Western world for centuries and continued to affect the modern world today. The rule of Augustus. Guiding question. How did Augustus create a new age of prosperity for Rome? The rule of Caesar Augustus, formerly called Octavian, marked the beginning of a new era. For nearly 200 years, the Roman world enjoyed peace and prosperity. This time period lasted until about AD 180. It is known as the Pax Romana, or Roman peace. During this time, Rome reached the height of its power. What reforms did Augustus make? As emperor, Augustus was determined to protect the empire. To do this, he created a permanent professional army. About 150,000 soldiers, all Roman citizens, made up this powerful military force. In addition, Augustus created a special unit known as the Praetorian Guard. The 9,000 men in this select unit guarded the emperor. Augustus thought that Rome's borders should be easier to defend. He established the empire's boundaries along natural physical features. These included the Rhine River and Danube River to the north, the Atlantic Ocean to the west, the Sahara to the south, and near the Euphrates River to the east. Troops were stationed along these frontier areas to protect the empire from invaders. In addition to protecting the empire, Augustus wanted to display the power of Rome. Augustus had many public buildings, fountains, and palaces rebuilt to reflect the greatness of Rome. "I found Rome a city of brick," he boasted, "and left it a city of marble." Augustus also worked to improve Rome's government. During his reign, more than 50 million people lived within the empire's borders. This is slightly fewer than the number of people living in Italy today. To maintain control over his empire, Augustus named an official called a proconsul, or governor, to oversee each of Rome's provinces. These new local officials replaced the politicians who had been appointed by the Senate. Augustus himself often visited the provinces to inspect the work of the proconsuls. With new leaders in place, Augustus changed the empire's tax system. Before Augustus, tax collectors paid the government for the right to collect taxes. Tax collectors could keep some of what they collected from the people. Many tax collectors, however, were dishonest and took too much from the people. To solve this problem, Augustus made tax collectors permanent government officials and paid them regular wages. Augustus also changed Rome's legal system. He created a code of laws for people living in the provinces who were not Roman citizens. As time passed, most of these people became citizens, so eventually the laws were applied to everyone. However, the legal system often favored the authority of the empire over individual citizens' rights. Despite all of his reforms, Augustus feared that people might still be unhappy with his leadership. To preserve his rule and the empire, Augustus imported grain from Africa and distributed it to the poor. Augustus believed that a well-fed population would be less likely to revolt against him. Emperors after Augustus. Augustus ruled Rome for almost 40 years. After Augustus died in AD 14, his adopted son, Tiberius, became emperor. After Tiberius, 3 other emperors from Augustus's family ruled Rome: Caligula, Claudius, and Nero. They are known as the Julio-Claudian emperors. Tiberius and Claudius governed the empire effectively. In contrast, Caligula and Nero proved to be cruel rulers. Caligula murdered many people and spent money recklessly. He even appointed his favorite horse as consul. The Praetorian Guard murdered him and made Claudius emperor. Nero was also a brutal emperor who killed many people. Among his victims were his mother and 2 wives. Nero committed suicide after the Senate had sentenced him to death for treason. The Roman Peace. Guiding question. How did the Roman Empire become rich and prosperous? After Nero died, violence erupted throughout the Roman Empire. Then, in AD 69, a general named Vespasian became emperor. Vespasian restored order, but he treated harshly anyone who opposed Roman rule. Vespasian crushed several uprisings throughout the empire. One such uprising was the Jewish revolt in the eastern province of Judea. Vespasian's son, Titus, commanded troops that defeated the Jewish rebels. Roman soldiers also destroyed the Jewish temple in Jerusalem in AD 70. Vespasian began the construction of the Colosseum, the huge amphitheater located in central Rome. After Vespasian died, his sons Titus and Domitian each governed Rome. While Titus was emperor, 2 disasters struck the empire. In AD 79, the volcano Mount Vesuvius erupted, destroying the city of Pompeii. A year later, a great fire badly damaged Rome. Both sons, however, ruled during an era of relative growth and prosperity. 5 good emperors. During the early AD 100s, several emperors who were not related to Augustus or Vespasian ruled the empire. Nerva, Trajan, Hadrian, Antoninus Pius, and Marcus Aurelius are known as the good emperors. The 5 good emperors did not abuse their power. They were among the most capable rulers in Rome's history. The 5 emperors governed during a time of economic growth. Agriculture and trade flourished during this period, which lasted from AD 96 to AD 180. Tertullian, a Roman writer, described this time. Primary source. All places are now accessible, easy to reach. All are well known, all open to commerce. Cultivated fields have subdued, tamed forests. Marshes are drained, and where once were solitary cottages, there are now large cities. Everywhere are houses and inhabitants, and settled government and civilized life. From Treatise on the Soul by Tertullian. The 5 emperors introduced programs to help the empire's people. For example, Trajan made money available so that poor children could receive an education. Hadrian made Roman laws easier for ordinary citizens to understand. The 5 emperors also improved Roman cities. They spent tax money to build arches and monuments, bridges, roads, and harbors. They also built extensive aqueducts to bring water from the country to the city. A united empire. The Emperor Trajan expanded the Roman Empire to its maximum size. The empire's borders extended to Britain in the northwest and Mesopotamia in the east. Trajan's successors believed that the empire had become too large to rule effectively. They withdrew Roman forces from regions they could not defend and reinforced areas that were easier to protect. Hadrian pulled troops from Mesopotamia but strengthened defenses at the Rhine and Danube rivers. By the AD 100s, the Roman Empire was one of the largest empires in history. Its land area was about 3.5 million square miles, 9.1 million square kilometers, almost the size of the United States. Many groups of people lived in the Roman Empire. Roman law, Roman rule, and a shared Roman identity united them all. By AD 212, every free person within the empire was considered a Roman citizen. All citizens were treated equally under Roman laws. The empire's economy. Agriculture remained the most important economic activity in the Roman Empire. Most people were farmers. Farmers in northern Italy and in the provinces of Gaul and Spain grew grapes and olives to make wine and olive oil. Grain from Britain, Sicily, and Egypt supplied Rome's people with food. Industry thrived in the cities. Potters, weavers, and jewelers produced pottery, cloth, and jewelry. Other artisans made glass, bronze, and brass. These goods were exported throughout the Mediterranean region. Trade flourished. By AD 100, a common Roman system of money was used within the empire. Merchants used the same money in Gaul, Greece, or Egypt as they did in Rome. People also used a standard system of weights and measurements. A network of paved roads extended throughout the empire. The roads allowed the Romans to communicate and move armies and goods easily. The Roman navy eliminated piracy on the Mediterranean Sea and other waterways. As a result, goods could be shipped safely to and from the empire's ports. Traders from all over the empire arrived in Rome's port cities. Traders sold luxury goods to wealthy Romans. The Romans also imported raw materials, such as British tin and Spanish silver and lead. Roman workshops turned them into different goods. Trade made many people wealthy. The wealth, however, did not extend to all Romans. Most city dwellers and farmers remained poor, and many other people remained enslaved. Progress